In case you missed my radio show, I was interviewing Laura Mitchell. She's a Great British gymnast and now lives and studies out in the US and competes for a university team up there, doing gymnastics since the age of 4, I think she said. And she's 23 years old now. She's made a career of it. So yeah, listen back to my podcast to feel inspired.
All the time. The Pulse Hospital Radio.
Hi guys, you're tuned into my show Groove With Me. I do have my very, very special guest in the studio with me. It is the very talented and the very inspirational Great British gymnast, Laura Mitchell. Hello.
Hello.
Oh, thank you so much for coming on my show.
Of course.
So we have so much to talk about, but I think we should start way, way, way back. So I mean, you competed for Great Britain for 6 years, and
Yes.
you're now studying and competing in America. So let's go way back. Let's go way back to when this all started. So when did you start gymnastics?
I think I started when I was 4 years old. My mum put me into a tumble tots class, and yeah, pretty much I was in a lot of different sports at the time, but gymnastics was kind of always that consistent one that I wanted to carry on. So I just continued doing it. I loved it. Yeah.
And so at the age of 15, you became Great British Gymnastics champion.
Yes.
That must have been a really big turning point, because that's young, to be a champion at 15.
Yeah.
Is that when you realised this is what I want to do for life? Or how did that come about? Were you training a lot beforehand? What came to that moment at 15 years old?
Well, I actually made it to the Great Britain squad when I was 12 years old. So that was obviously a really big achievement, and I was training for Great Britain at such a young age.
Yeah.
But when I obviously became British champion at 15, that was definitely a big, big moment for me. That was something that I was training for and really wanted to do. So I was really happy that happened.
And so what age did you start taking it seriously? What club did you belong to? When did you start saying, okay, I'm good enough to become the best?
Yeah. Well, I started off at Hendon, which is quite local for me, and then I think at the age of 9 I moved to Heathrow Gymnastics Club, and I've been there ever since. So I'm still training there now, and I think I realised I wanted to be a gymnast. I would think I was 7 years old. I was waiting in line for the trampoline, and I got distracted, and there was a big green curtain. I went to look behind it. There was all these big gymnasts doing really big skills, and that was when I was like, Mum, I want to be just like them.
Wow.
Yeah.
And do you have an influence? Are you influenced? Do you have a role model, or did you have a role model when you were that young? Or was it literally the girls behind the curtains doing those incredible moves that made you?
Well, actually, my mum and my auntie both did gymnastics.
Did they?
Not to the exact same level, but they kind of, I don't know, I really did look up to them and wanted to be like them when I was younger, so I continued doing it. But yeah, seeing the big girls do those tricks when I was younger, I just really wanted to continue and do it just like they could,
Yeah. And so when you were at Heathrow, what was the training like? Because you obviously, that's a really young age to commit to something.
Yeah.
What was your training like at that age? What did you? I mean, you studied. You were doing a GCSE. So how did you cope with that?
It was really difficult. I was doing my artwork in the car, so my mum would always used to laugh at that, because I was trying to draw in the car on the way to the gym. I would have to come straight out of school from my studies, go straight to the gym, and I wouldn't get home till 10 p.m. at night because it takes an hour to get there. I would study. My mum has caught me a few times falling asleep, studying with my pen in my hand. So GCSEs were definitely hard. I was away at a Great Britain competition when I found out my results, so I couldn't even find them out. So yeah, it was pretty intense.
And was there ever a moment where you were like, I know, did you question it? Yeah, was there a moment where you were like, I don't know if I can do this?
Yeah, I think a lot of athletes do go through that, in their head, because it just becomes so much, especially at such a young age. It's really hard because you see everyone else kind of gets all that time to study. They can go out with their friends, so sometimes it's really difficult to just be in the gym and be away from studying or be away from your friends. But it kind of was at the time a place to escape from everything else, and training is kind of your time that you have by yourself and just something that you love.
So at Heathrow, it was like a community.
Yeah, definitely. I think I went to one of the best gym clubs in England. In my
Really?
personal opinion, I think it was so relaxing, such a family. There was a lot of girls there who I still keep in contact with now. So, yeah, family.
And a lot of them very successful as well. A
Yeah.
lot of them pushed in that direction.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of them, they've gone on to big things now, or some of them are still actually training, doing gymnastics, who are from my age. So,
Wow.
yeah.
Wow. Thank you so much. I think we'll leave it there for the first little part of our interview, because there is so much more to talk about. That's kind of like the first little era of your life, I guess.
Yeah,
and you go on
definitely.
to such incredible things. So thank you so much for joining me on the show. I'm going to play a couple of tunes and then we will be back. So stay tuned, guys. I have Laura Mitchell. She is a great British gymnast. Stay tuned for a lot more of this.
Good evening. Wishing you well. Stay tuned to the Pulse Hospital Radio.
Hello, welcome to my show. I'm tuned in from Watford General Hospital. If you are listening from inside the hospital or from outside the hospital for that matter, I hope you are enjoying this show. If you have just tuned in, I have a very special guest with me tonight. I have Great British gymnast Laura Mitchell. Hello. So we were talking about how your career started, going through school, and then you made the transition from being at Heathrow as a gymnast and being a GB gymnast, and then you moved over to the United States.
Yes, big change.
Which is a huge change. Firstly, why did you decide to move after 10, 11 years with Heathrow? When did you decide to make that change and go there?
Well, I actually finished gymnastics for, I think I quit for 2 weeks, and I went on holiday with my friend, and she was training in America at the time, and I saw it and I was like, I need to do that. I put everything on put all my cards on the table, and I just said I want to move to America, start a new life out there.
Wow.
Yeah,
because obviously some of the best gymnasts, they come from the UK, they come from China, they come from the US. I mean, bigger than that, but that's really where it's at in the US.
Yeah,
I think so. How did you go about that process of? Did you get funding, or did you, what did you approach universities and say, talk to us about that?
We first have to obviously email the coaches, so I had to show my coach all my skills and my routines
in the US.
In the US, yeah. But she already had seen me compete because her husband's actually British, so
oh wow,
yeah. So she knew about me, and she kind of was excited to have me, and she offered me a scholarship, so I would study out there as well and do my major, and also
major. That's what they say in the US,
major,
isn't it? Major.
Yeah, major, and also compete for the school at the same time. So I was so excited.
So where did you end up going?
I still am actually studying out there. So it's called Bowling Green State University in Ohio. I love it. It's such a small kind of town, but it's very, very family orientated. So
wow. And are there lots of other students that have scholarships, or is it is that common?
Yeah, usually on the team there are a handful of girls who have scholarships, and then some of the other ones are called walk-ons. So they compete for the gymnastics team or whatever sport they are doing,
right?
But they won't get funded, so they would just be there.
They pay for
the school, and yeah.
Wow, that's because to go to university in the US, it's I think it's more expensive than here, right? So that must be
more expensive. I think it's worth like $250,000. Like my whole scholarship was worth that much, I think. So it's big. Big
That's
deal.
a lot of pressure.
I know.
You're kind of worth £250,000, Laura. Like, that's big stuff. Wow. And your university, is it like there's loads of other different teams? So you have your gymnastics squad. Is there like a soccer squad? Is there a cricket squad? I don't know cricket. I don't know. Do they have cricket out there?
I mean, they have softball, American football, which is something I've never seen before. That was awesome to watch. But yeah, they have all different sports, and basically we just compete against the different colleges in America.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So let's talk a little bit about you being part of that team. What's it like training with a US team?
Yeah. It is completely different to my experience in the UK because, I don't know, everyone is so energetic. Like you in
More
practice,
so.
more, yeah. So in practice, we can't keep quiet, otherwise we'll get in trouble. If we're not shouting for another team member, then we'll get in trouble. So, but yeah, it's a lot of fun. You know, we come off the event after our routines and we have to high five every single one of our
That's very
teammates.
amazing. Like, high five, good job, and all of that.
That's exactly what it's like. So what
Really?
you see in the movies, it is pretty much, you know, the same.
Oh my goodness, that's
But it's fun. I
crazy.
kind of got into it. Like at first I was a bit taken away by it just because it was so different. But then I kind of really started to enjoy it, and I used to finish my routine and just jump up and just really enjoy it and take it, you know?
Yeah, oh my goodness. So what's the in comparison to the training, actual physical training, talk us through what's your weekly training session? Because, you know, being a top class athlete, it's no fun, and I mean it is fun, but it's a really serious thing. So yeah, talk us through your training.
So in America it would be, we would wake up, I would probably have like a class first, so I'd have whatever class, I don't know, Spanish, you could take different subjects there.
Yeah.
And then I would go to training, probably practice from 10 till 1ish, 10 till 2.
Yeah.
And then have the rest of the day with rest of classes. We'll have community service, we'll have to come in for team meetings. You know, my day is pretty much packed, and we'll have that every single day.
Monday to Friday, 5 days a week.
We'll
or
have
7 days a week.
Well, we'll train on the weekend too, but we'll have like a day or two off in the week, so
Right.
to kind of focus on schoolwork, because they do really like to emphasize getting your grades up and stuff.
Yeah, of course, because if you are on a scholarship, you've got to do both.
You have to be a good, because if you don't have certain grades, then your scholarship would be taken.
Wow.
So there's a lot of pressure on both sides, which I think is good in a way, because, you know, you don't want to be just focusing on one aspect and not focusing on the other.
Yeah, definitely. And the training in terms of like the conditioning, the kinds of moves that they teach you. Tell us a little bit about that in the US, like what you've been doing in the past couple of years.
Well, the conditioning, that is definitely something I've never experienced before coming from England. It was very intense, very, very intense. A lot of people actually have thrown up like while doing the testing. So you have to, before you compete, you have to kind of pass a testing.
It's like fitness tests.
Yes, fitness testing.
Like requirements, I guess.
So it's like half an hour long, and you just like do sprints, and you do like panel mat pushes, and you know, it's really intense. But that's mainly in the pre-season. It's kind of to get us prepared for the season.
And so that's like training, like getting really fit and strong.
Yeah, so that's constantly building up your routines, building up your strength, so that your body is prepared for the season, because we compete every single weekend from January till I think mid-April.
What?
Yeah. So I think when I was competing before I came to America, we would do like max 6 competitions a year. And
oh my goodness.
Yeah, so every single weekend is very different, and I think that's why they prepare you so much.
Yeah. So when you talk about like the conditioning and the training, is that all in the gym, or do you actually go to a physical, like, you know, running bikes and squats, like, because you are very, very physically fit, like you can, like, obviously as a gymnast you can do some incredible things. What kinds of actual stuff do you do? Like, are we talking, I don't know, 100 press-ups, or is that ridiculous? Or like do you know what I mean? Like, actually, what do you do? Do you squat? Do you, obviously lots of flexibility?
Yeah, honestly,
talk to us a bit about that.
We do everything from cardio to strength work. We actually have an individual like strength coach,
right?
So they really want to kind of get every single aspect of it. So normally we'll wake up at like 6 in the morning, go and do a cardio session on the football field, where we'll do like laps or sprints or stadium runs. So we'll run up and down the stadiums. Yeah, it's really, really hard. And then we'll probably go and do the weight session from like 7 till 8 before a class or something. And that would be by our strength coach. So we would do squats there, we would do benching, we would do everything. They have such a good like facility, because all the athletes use it, obviously.
Yeah.
So there's one building that's kind of dedicated just for the athletes.
Yeah.
So that's where we do our training there.
Wow.
And then our gymnastics coaches will kind of put extra conditioning for us, which is kind of more like gymnastics type conditioning.
Yeah.
Kind of isolating your muscles more. But yeah.
But do you ever wake up some days and you're just like,
Every day.
I'm really, and you're just like, I am exhausted.
Yeah,
like, go
every
away.
day,
How do you?
honestly, when I moved to college, I don't think there's been a week where I haven't taken a nap. That is one of the most important things I could say to any student athlete, is to nap.
Really?
Yeah. It is really tiring, you know. Sometimes we'll set our alarms for 5 in the morning to be there for 6. So yeah, it's intense.
Wow. And in terms of like injury prevention and stuff like that, how do you train that much and actually keep, because you can be very physically fit but very you know, your muscles need a rest, so how do you what's your prevention so you don't get injured?
Well, we have mandatory ice baths 3 times a week.
I've seen that those like that's what like footballers and stuff do.
Yeah.
Well, I guess across all sports.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that, you know, the physios kind of suggest to us that we do, and ice baths is one thing that I really didn't like. I always complained about it, and we were told not to complain, but I couldn't help myself. We would have to do that 3 times a week, and for 15 minutes we would stay in a tub full of ice and go all the way in.
No.
Yeah,
But don't you ever just turn around to your coach and just be like, no.
Oh yeah.
I'm not
if
doing
I said
this.
that, I'd probably get kicked off the team. So
Really?
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about the relationship that you have with your coaches, and how do they, like, because you know you're 23 years old, you are a woman, so how do they you know, what's that relationship like with your trainers?
I mean, I think it's different to the UK. I was always really close with my coaches in the UK, and they're a bit more relaxed just because it's not a team kind of thing.
Right.
Whereas coming to America, they have to treat you all equally, you know, and they were really, really strict with everyone. So you couldn't really step a toe out of line.
Like kind of like in the army.
Yeah, it is pretty much like that. And you couldn't be late to anything, otherwise the whole team would get punished. So it was very much like if one person did something wrong, the whole team would get punished for it. So you have to be really disciplined in that aspect of it.
Yeah.
So if we had practice at 6 o'clock, say, we would have to be there at 5:55, otherwise we're late. So,
wow.
Yeah.
That must be really nice, because I guess when you watch the Olympics, or when you watch other sports, there it's like a football team, there's 11 of them, or netball, whatever, there's 7 of them. But with gymnastics, I kind of hadn't really thought about the fact that, you know, you are literally like a little family, I guess. And
there was, I think this year we had our biggest team. I think it was 24 of us, 24, 23. So yeah, it was a lot of us this year, and we had to keep everybody in line. I was actually team captain.
Were you?
Yeah, I was made team captain this year, so I had to like call the meetings and kind of like, you know, enforce the rules, which was weird for me, but it was a lot of fun.
Wow.
Yeah.
And the age range in your team, are you old? Are you young?
Yeah.
What kind of age range is there?
Yeah. I think it ranged from 18 to I'm the oldest. I was the
really?
oldest. Yeah. So yeah, I was the grandma of the of the bunch.
Wow. And so when you were younger, you represented GB.
Yeah.
And then you come over to the States and you represent your college. What do you find a big difference between like college training and GB training?
Yeah. I mean, when I was competing for Great Britain, it was the atmosphere in the gym was less like fun. It was more serious, because obviously you had a really big job to do, and you don't have, you know, that kind of fun aspect to it. But there was a lot of pressure. We had to do 3 hours, and then we would have a break, and then another 3 hours in one day, and we would do that. Yeah. But coming to America, you know, it was a bit more laid back. Our skills were a bit easier, but it was still intense with the conditioning and things like that.
Yeah. Because you were saying before we were on air about the style of gymnastics that you do at college, with those huge roaring audiences with like banners and stuff.
Yeah, it's more like a show in college, so you kind of want to make it to be a performance. So a lot of the times you'll wink at the judges, or like you want to get those stuck landings and really show off the landings and exaggerate, or your teammates will be like cheering and trying to like out cheer the other team. It's kind of really like the TV shows.
Wow.
Yeah, but in England, it's kind of like you just want to throw your big skills out there and,
Yeah. I pretty much say you are living the dream. Like, you are honestly living the dream. Thank you so much. We are going to go to a quick break and then we will be back for the last 15 minutes of our show. I feel like we could just keep talking and talking and talking. So this one for you guys is a little bit of
Good evening. Wishing you well. Stay tuned to the Pulse Hospital Radio.
Hello, my name is Claire and this is my show Groove With Me. If you've just tuned in, I've got 10 minutes left of my show and I am interviewing ex-GB gymnast Laura Mitchell. Hello.
Hello.
Hi, welcome back. So yeah, we've got 10 minutes and I feel like I've still got so much that I want to ask you. So let's just hit the nail on the head here. What's been some of your proudest moments? Because I'm sure there must be quite a few.
Yeah. In college terms, I think there's been 3 big moments for me. I think one, as a team, we made it to regionals for the first time in 25 years.
Wow.
So that was really, really big. There was a lot of news people coming in, a lot of attention to BG, bigging them up. It was really good. The second one.
Whoa, you're going too fast, honey. You're going too fast. So when you say going to regionals, like what? I mean, I obviously I know what that means, but in terms of, is that really difficult? How many teams are there is that in the US or in Ohio or?
Yeah, it's all throughout the US, so you have to qualify to get into that. So only a certain amount of teams make the good scores to get into regionals. So I'm not sure how many, but I think it's top 30 out of like 100 or something. Yeah, it's a lot. And there's really big schools out there that do really good gymnastics, so to do that for BG is really big achievement after 25 years.
Yeah.
And
are there people that compete that have been in the Olympics or like that are up there?
Yeah, there are in like the bigger schools, say UCLA, LSU. There's a lot of Olympians that kind of come back and do college gymnastics. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And is that did you go to regionals after a season? After a season of January to April?
Yeah, so regionals would be counted in like post-season kind of. That's kind of like the championship season. So after you do all your regular meets, so the competitions are kind of like you compete against one other college.
Yeah.
Or say up to a four meet. So you have 1 or 4 different colleges and you compete against them, but then in the championships you compete against a lot of different colleges, and it's kind of more intense. Everyone wants to get the title, so yeah.
Oh my goodness. So what's your second proudest moment?
Biggest achievement. I think individually it was when this year, actually my final year, I actually broke the beam record. So I got the highest score in school history, which was...
What?
Yeah.
You did what?
Wait, whoa. Insane.
A highest
beam score in school history.
Oh my gosh. Like, that's big. That's really big stuff.
Yeah.
And how long has that school been there? Like, it didn't open last year. Like, that's big.
It's been there since the beginning, and we have this one woman who used to compete for BG, and she has the highest score on every single event. So I think to beat her and to like top her score was something that nobody else has done since then, and it was a big deal, and as soon as I saw the scores come up on the judges' tables, I just jumped, and all of my teammates came rushing towards me. It was such a big moment. The whole crowd went crazy. Really good.
Sorry, what was your score?
It was 9.95. So the perfect score is a 10. So that's like
Wow.
Really good.
So beam for you the ultimate event? Is that where you do best?
Yeah, I think at the beginning I kind of did favour bars a bit, but then as I got a bit older, I kind of really enjoyed beam, and I became a bit more consistent on that event. So yeah, I really like beam.
What do you like about it? Because I mean, there might be potentially people listening that don't really know what that is. But basically, so it's high and it's small.
It's high. Yes, really high. I don't know how tall it is, but I know it's 6 inches wide. So you're basically doing flips and requirements on this 6-inch piece of wood, and you kind of want to make like no error, no wobbles, stuck landings. That's kind of the goal, and to keep everything consistent.
Wow. And in terms of technique, how do you train and how do you polish for something that actually, it's if you fall and if you get it out by an inch, I mean, you've got quite a long way to the floor, or I mean, over a meter that you'd crash to the floor. So how do you train and how do you prepare for these big beam routines?
So when I moved to America, we did this thing called like distraction routines. Obviously, we're training our routines day in, day out in the gym, trying to make our skills better. But one thing that kind of was a big difference for me, we did distraction routines, which is where we would be doing our routine and people would be trying to distract us as much as they could.
Literally.
Yeah. So the rules were they just weren't allowed to touch you. They could say whatever they wanted to distract you.
Oh my goodness.
And these are your friends, so they know a lot about you and what kind of makes you nervous. They're throwing bouncy balls across the beam, walking underneath it, sitting on top of the beam, trying to make you laugh. And it's actually really nerve-wracking, but it was a lot of fun. And I think it's good because then when you're in a competition environment and you're all nervous and there's like the other team that's shouting for their team members, you kind of don't get distracted. You've done it in that intense environment already, so it kind of prepares you a lot, I think.
Wow. So do you get nervous?
Yeah, I mean, every single athlete, I'm pretty sure, gets nervous when they compete. But I think because we have competed so many weekends in a row, the nerves do get less. But every meet, I still do get a bit of nerves, especially beam is the one event where you kind of get up on the beam and it's so thin and so tall when you're doing your skills and you can feel yourself get a bit shaky, so you have to really focus in, because your body feels completely different to how it feels in practice, but you have to kind of put your mind across, get your mind right, basically.
And what do you think about when you're standing on that beam with how many people staring at you? How many people stare at you?
A lot of people. I think there are like thousands if you go
thousands?
To like a big meet. But
oh my goodness!
Yeah,
I thought you meant like 100 or like.
Yeah, I mean there are a couple hundreds
wow.
like in the smaller meets, but the bigger ones there can be thousands. And I don't know. I think I try not to think about everything too much. I think for me, I just put myself in like a bubble and try and just remember what I do in practice. And try and reflect that to my competition as much as I can.
Oh my goodness. Okay, cool. Yeah. That's really cool. And you said you had a third proudest achievement. What is that?
That was when we also broke the school record as a team. So that was such a big moment because we could all celebrate that together, and it was just amazing feeling to break that record.
And so there's quite a lot of you in the team.
Yeah.
Do you all compete? There's 24 of you in your team.
Yeah.
Do you all compete at that meet and all those scores get added up?
No, actually, we have a certain amount of gymnasts who go up. So it's 6 gymnasts go up within the team on each event. So you can pick different gymnasts on each event. So there's 4 events: bars, beam, floor, and vault. So 6 girls go up and then 5 scores count.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, so you can have, say if one girl makes a mistake, then you still have 5 scores that will count. So, but if 2 girls make a mistake, then you're kind of, putting yourself in a bad position where the other team might take over.
Wow. And do you do more than one event?
Yeah, I actually, my first 3 years, I did bars, beam, and floor. And then they actually needed me on vault for my last year. Wow. So that was a big thing as well because I hadn't trained vault in 3 or 4 years. So to be able to compete that in my last competition was really good, I think. It was just, I never thought I would touch the vault again.
Really?
Yeah.
So because they were your 3 main, do you literally, you don't touch the other bits of equipment? You focus, you train every single day focusing on your strengths, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people in college, some people will only do 1 event, some people will do 2. I did 3 out of 4 events, so I wouldn't be on vault at all. I wouldn't even. But then we started to get a few injuries, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna train. I'm gonna see if I can still do it, and I managed to pull it out and do that for the last competition for the team, which was really good. So yeah.
And have you ever had any accidents? Have you ever had any moments when things have gone wrong?
Yeah, definitely. I don't think there's been a gymnast who hasn't. I don't know if you've seen this challenge that's been going around, the gymnastics fail challenge.
No.
So
Is it like how many backflips you can do until you fall over?
No.
Is it worse? It's probably worse, isn't it?
It's basically just the gymnast posting their worst falls. And yeah, so
Oh no, okay, yeah. Well, tell us, what's
yeah,
yours?
so mine was, I think I was 12 or 13 years old, and I actually was doing a dismount off the bars, so I was supposed to land in front of the bars, but instead I held on to the bars too long and I accidentally went over the top of the bar, hitting the top bar, then hitting the low bar, and then hitting the floor. So people called me pinball for quite a long time.
Sorry, it's actually not funny because
It's funny because I managed to get out of it okay. I only actually had 2 bruises on my back, and that was it. I was really lucky. So
oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Did that was that a wake up call? Was that, did it put you off? What happened?
It was scary
Did it
to
spur you
learn.
on?
I mean,
Maybe not spare you on.
it was scary to, do that one particular skill again. But I went back in the belt. I took it from basics and built my confidence back up to doing that skill. I think that's what good coaches help you do, is get your confidence back after you've made a mistake. But you kind of, in gymnastics, you have to fall a few times and get back up. That's how you learn the skill. There's been a lot of different skills where I have messed up a few times.
Definitely. And I think, because you are 23 years old and
Yeah.
you have been doing this for so many years, I think that's a hugely key thing. You
Yeah.
know, you can't give up. You do have to keep going. There will always be moments where you kind of find it hard to, see the point of why you do this.
Yeah,
but definitely,
definitely.
like how far you've come is a huge indication of why you love what you do.
Yeah.
What's in store for you? What's coming up next?
Well,
Where are you right now?
Right now, I still want to compete, so I want to do like the British teams, which will be in September, and I'm still doing my major in America, so I'm studying.
Major.
Yeah, I'm studying for another year, so I'm doing that. After, I'm actually thinking about doing a show in Vegas, which is called Le Rêve, and it's kind of it's kind of like Cirque du Soleil type thing.
Yeah.
So I have to audition for that, obviously, to get in. But I'm thinking about doing that and living in Vegas for 2 years, I think.
Wow.
Contractors, yeah.
Wow.
So that would be cool. Well, I still can do gymnastics, might as well.
Definitely. And do gymnasts, I mean, how long is a career? Is this you for the rest of your career?
Yeah. I'm actually quite old as a gymnast. Some people can go on till longer, 30 is very rare, but a lot of gymnasts kind of peak from, I'd say, like 15 until 22 is getting a bit old for gymnasts, but because obviously our bodies can't take that much impact and stuff. But
Definitely. Well, I tell you what, you have definitely been peaking since winning at GB, and then to where you are now. You've definitely come such a long way.
Thank
so
you.
just before we finish up, I'd just like to say, what advice do you give to aspiring gymnasts? What advice do you give to athletes? You do have a lot of experience,
Yeah.
so I think you must have some wise words.
yeah, I would say, just keep going, don't give up, and use all your experiences. I never thought I would go out and leave my family for 4 years and, train in America or travel the world and do things, so definitely use that to your advantage. Do what you can.
Definitely. Well, thank you so much. It honestly has been incredible to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me.
It's been amazing. I hope you enjoyed the show, guys. I will be back next week again at the same time. And yeah, I hope you have enjoyed the show. See you later.